Hey everybody, I wanted to just talk really quick about some hot topics because we have people who are really worried about the housing market and should they buy or should they not buy. And I just want to pop on here for just a couple minutes and address that. I have been completely immersed in what's going on with Corona. How is the housing market going to be affected? What's going to happen? And most of our experts agree that if we can kind of get through the brunt of this in Q2, that we will have strong Q3 and Q4, and housing prices will be affected minimally. So here are some charts that I want to share with you guys. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that over from 1989 to 2019, the average home appreciation on a house nationally is 3.84% per year. That includes our Great Recession, okay? So even if you are buying a home and in worst case scenario prices drop, if you're retaining that house long term, which most people are retaining their homes for 7 to 10 years, you can reasonably expect, an average return of your money and reasonably expect most likely not to lose any money on a long-term investment. So that's the first thing I want to point out. We have to live somewhere, and after this corona scare, I just wonder, would you rather have your own house with your own yard and your own space, or continue paying somebody else's mortgage, even in an apartment where you're so close to other people? So I just want to point this out here, but expect returns over the long period. The second thing I want to point out is, this is really truly one of the number one reasons why we don't believe that there will be housing prices plummet. The reason is because our demand is so low right now. So in 2007, so this is if we account for the new housing starts, so we need about a little over 1.5 trillion new home starts nationally to accommodate for people leaving the dorms, buying houses, all the houses that have been torn down because their condition is so bad. We need 1.5 million homes, new starts, to basically house what we have. Before the Great Recession, we had over almost 2.3 million new home starts. We had a huge surplus. And then over time, the surplus went down. What was happening here is over time, there was absorption, right? New houses were not being built because the economy had crashed. And so home buyers were absorbing the inventory. And then slowly, builders are getting more involved, slowly building inventory to house our families. And right now we are right at where we need to be. So when you just look at basic macroeconomic supply and demand, there is such a huge demand for housing and a shortage of homes available in most areas of our country that if prices do drop, this is what's going to kind of it's what most experts think is going to save the day a little bit right here, but supply and demand alone are going to keep our mortgage industry strong. The third graph that I want to show you is the homeownership rate. So here's where our homeownership rate was right before the Great Recession, and here's where we are now. So we're currently at 64.4% homeownership rate, and that's down significantly over our long-term historical rate. So that shows that we have more room to grow. Okay, so if we just look at homeownership rate, we look at housing starts, and we look at value over a long period of time. These are the basic statistics that experts are looking at that have them convinced that if we can wrap this corona thing up in Q2 and everybody get back to work in Q3 and Q4, that we can expect about normal appreciation. Nobody's really expecting it to plummet. Worst case scenario, if it does, everybody says that we are not likely to see this. We would still most likely be above the 0%. That's what they're saying right now. I really wanted to put it into perspective for you guys. If you have any questions, reach out anytime. I am so happy to have a conversation with any one of you who are curious about this and are worried about this. But the message is that if you are planning to buy your primary residence, you're going to live in it long term, right? Normal time, 7 to 10 years, to stay the course. Let me know if you guys have any questions.